Recent reports out of Minnesota indicate that the Wild may be parting ways with young star Marco Rossi, and the Montreal Canadiens have more than one connection, including Rossi's family being connected to David Reinbacher and the two hometowns being less than a 20-minute drive away. We'll get into this golden opportunity for Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens, plus a note on Cole Caufield's shoulder and the truth revealed behind his injury, and a look into his first half versus second half stats with something that might surprise a lot of you. So stick around for all of that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. But guys, before we get into the video, I just wanted to remind you guys that over half of you guys watching this video are not subscribed. And if you're part of that half of the people that aren't subscribed, hit that button now. We have daily Montreal Canadiens content, weekly live streams, and probably much more coming soon this offseason. But without further ado, Jesse, let's get into the Cole Caufield stuff. And in a recent article for The Athletic, Arpon Basu went a little deeper into Cole Caufield's shoulder injury in his end-of-season notebook, and we got some great news. So here's what he had to say. When Caufield underwent the surgery, they found a study in arthroscopic labral surgery that said that players exhibited significant reductions in game use and performance at 1 season after injury, but returned closer to baseline after 3 seasons. And they asked Caufield about it, and well, Caufield said, based on the surgery I got, it's not like different ones where you can get that back right away. He said, for sure, it feels better now than it did at the start of the season, like trusting it and doing all those things. It feels good now. And I think going forward, we should have no issues just looking forward for next year. But Jesse, the big thing here is the stats. Here are his first half stats from Hockey Reference. You can see he had 11 goals, 17 assists for 28 points in 41 games. He had 8 power play goals and a 7.5 shot percentage. Here's the second half of the season, the second 41 games. Jumps up to 17 goals, 20 assists for 37 points in 41 games. He actually had below average power play production for himself and still put out a 34 goal pace over the second half with a 10.2% shot percentage, a near 3% jump from first half of the season to second half. Jesse, his goal total pace went from 22 to 34 goals. I think this is right in line with what we expected from shoulder surgery and a fantastic sign going forward.
Yeah, while we're griping about his 28 goals from last year, Cole Caufield is just getting ready to absolutely take off next year. And as he says, it wasn't like just the shoulder injury. He said, it's like even Kent Hughes has been very, very vocal in saying that sometimes prospects, it's normal to kind of to flatline for a little bit before taking that big step up. But for sure, the analytics, the stats don't lie. It's even part of it, right? He kind of knew it that it was going to affect it a little bit. And we saw over the course of the year how just the velocity on the shot started to come up, because the big thing with Cole is just picking those spots. He really needs that full movement to really take full advantage of that snipe of a shot that he really has, right? So as this continues to heal, he really took advantage to really round out his game in so many ways, to become so much more of a playmaker, to step up his defensive game. So you have to feel now with his shot coming back up, he's really going to be an amazing player, and we're just going to see the shot percentage just continue to rise.
Yeah, and a great point by Arpon in this article is like at no stage in Cole Caufield's, I guess since 17 or 18 years old, at no stage in his hockey career has he not been scoring very much from the middle of the ice. This season was the first time that his numbers were seriously down and he wasn't really able to score those goals. Is that a coincidence? No, I don't think it is. I think that he's going to, regress or progress back to the mean. He's going to get back to it. His shot percentage is going to go up. And Jesse, I don't see why he can't play at a 35-40 goal pace next season. Is that crazy?
No, it's not at all. Because again, considering that he was able to really have a great second half of the season while not being as effective on the power play, which is really where he eats, right? Where that shot is the most effective. Before, when he was kind of starting out, our power play was so one-dimensional. It was basically just feed the puck to Cole and let him shoot. But, even though our power play is a little bit more well-rounded now, we got a little bit more options, he's going to continue to thrive in this position. And just as well as he continues to just kind of build up that strength, he's still a very young player. We have to remember, right? He's just getting into his prime, very young guy. So a lot of road as he continues to really develop that strength, which you could say is one of the biggest weaknesses in his game. That's just going to continue to get better. And as a result, we're really going to see the goal titles. I think next year, we're looking at a 35-goal minimum for Cole Caufield.
I don't think that's crazy. Let us know down below your prediction for Cole Caufield's goal total next year, knowing these stats, knowing what he did in the second half, because I think he's going to surprise a lot of doubters. But Jesse, it's time to get into the meat of this video. This excites me. As a lot of you guys know, I also follow the Minnesota Wild, and so I've been following their Reddit page. Of course, Michael Russo, one of the best insiders in the NHL, he's the reporter for the Minnesota Wild, and there have been a lot of rumors recently recently about Marco Rossi, but I think it's finally time that we discuss it on this channel. In a recent Reddit post here by Hank Scorpio in the Wild subreddit, he went over Michael Russo's speculation of possible trading two players from the Worst Seats in the House podcast. And at the end here, you can see he also said it's still not out of the question that Rossi is traded this offseason. Now, he does go on to say that they probably want a bigger, faster forward because Rossi is quite small, but hey, there are other ways to get that player. You can see from a Wild fan website, the Wild are considering moving on from Marco Rossi. He's about to get to 100 games. This was in March, but he ranks really high on the team throughout the whole season in goals for percentage. I believe it ended up going down a little bit, but he's up there with Kaprizov, Boldy, Zuccarello, Joel Eriksson Ek, despite being one of the youngest players on the roster, and they have a lot of great prospects. They have Danilo Yurov, they have Riley Heidt, they have I don't know how to pronounce those two names differently, but they have a lot of prospects coming up, and as they say here, that could mean that Rossi is sort of the odd man out, and he could maybe benefit from a change of scenery on a rebuilding team that will be patient with him. So there's a lot of potential here, Jesse. Marco Rossi, don't forget, former 9th overall pick, 120 points in the OHL in his draft year, and this year, 21 goals with the Minnesota Wild for 40 points. He is phenomenal, not to mention he lives 18 minutes by car from Hohenems, which is David Reinbacher's hometown. Marco Rossi's father apparently helped recruit David Reinbacher to Switzerland to play pro hockey. There's a ton of connections here, and I feel like Montreal has the assets to make this happen if the Wild are willing to give up on Rossi.
Is it destiny? Is it meant to be, right? Like, it's quite interesting to consider that they'd be willing to part with such a player, right? Where he has a really good two-way game. He's really quick. He's really talented. He fits a lot of the profiles that really Kent Hughes is looking for. Just, the one thing again is the size. I'm wondering though, if you kind of pair him with a Kirby Dach, maybe having Dach kind of interchangeable at center there, but more of a Kirby Dach at center, like that he could really flourish. We're looking at his production there. It's like, basically 1 point his first 19 to then get 21 goals, 40 points is in the next 82. This is a very highly skilled player on the rise, right? So again, the size is that one thing, but again, having a goals for like percentage, higher than Kaprizov, being one of the best players on a very good, rather wild team that's looking to compete right now is really interesting. It seems like the only reason that's why we would have a chance of getting them is because they're looking to really make the playoffs right now. They're maybe looking for also more of like a power play type of guy, which maybe isn't where he excels, which is maybe something we're looking for as well. But I think if you're Kent Hughes and you're kind of hearing these rumors, like you might want to take a swing at this because they even might feel, even if it takes like offering some prospects, they might feel like they have within their organization what it takes to really replace him. So that might make a longer term play possibly feasible here as well.
Yeah, and like full disclosure, like speaking as someone who also follows the Wild, I would hate for them to trade Rossi. Like, I don't want him to leave Minnesota, but if Montreal can get him, I'm all for that, right? The thing is, I just don't see a world where they trade him, but maybe usually Russo is on the ball. Like, he never makes mistakes. He never likes to say things if he doesn't believe them to seriously be true. That's just what Michael Russo does. It's what he's always has done as a Minnesota Wild beat reporter. But also, I'm sure we'll hear a lot of people in the comments who've probably already written comments saying, but look, if the Wild want a bigger, faster center, who could Montreal even give them? They're a team that wants to compete. Well, here's the thing. Maybe Kirby Dach fits that bill. I don't think Montreal would want to do that. But remember how Montreal got Kirby Dach. They traded Romanov for picks. They traded those picks for Dach. Why couldn't Minnesota do something similar? Montreal has a bunch of picks and defenseman assets where they might be willing to give maybe a bit more just because of the sheer amount of picks and prospects they have for Rossi. Then Minnesota can flip them into another player. It's much easier said than done. But I'm saying if Minnesota does want to move Rossi, which we still don't know if that's a certainty, I think Montreal has the pieces to make this happen, Jesse. And with him, Newhook, Dach, you have a bunch of guys who could play center, who could maybe also bounce off the wing. We've already seen Newhook and Dach play extended periods of time at wing. Rossi could be that guy down the middle. I don't know, right? There's a lot of options here, but I'm starting to convince myself that this could be that exact style of player that Montreal's looking for. A young, talented center, a team that's looking to move him. You have all the assets in the world. Why not?
It's pretty much exactly what Kent Hughes has said that he's been looking for. And I know I'm not the only one that's noticed him for a long time ago. Like, since the days of him being in Ottawa 67, I knew that this was going to be a gamer and that he would really benefit any team that he played against, or for rather.
Yeah.
It took him a little bit, but he definitely got there, right? Eventually, which is amazing to see. And you have to feel like Kenny recognizes this. And for me, that makes sense. Like, grouping together these young players that can really play together for a long time. The kind of, run where it's like we're getting a dynasty going, right? Where we got such young guys that we can really, this is what Kent Hughes, this is part of his master plan. It's really to be together for a long time. So when Kent Hughes is looking at players to go for, the first thing is those younger players. That's what he's really, his first game plan, his plan A really there, so you have to feel like this definitely fits that mold. Again, it's just balancing that size, but I think, if you can put him on a line with two other big players and kind of insulate him in that way, the way he kind of plays that two-way game, I think that honestly, that'd be the makings of a really great line.
What if he was the guy to unlock Josh Anderson? I'm just saying, you never know, right? You never know. There's so many possibilities here. And again, this is pure speculation from the Montreal standpoint, as we've made clear. However, I think it just makes sense. It's a guy that they could go after. It fits pretty much everything they're looking at. And we'd love to hear from you guys down below, because this has gotten me really excited. I love Marco Rossi. Jesse loves Marco Rossi. Will this happen? Probably not, but I think it just makes sense. I can't stop talking about it, getting thrilled about it. Let us know down below what your thoughts are. Should the Habs make this trade? Should they pass on him? We'd love to hear from you. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, guys. You guys have been subscribing like crazy. Thank you for all the support in the videos and the streams. There'll be plenty more where those came from. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.